Hey guys, what's up? What is up? What is up? Hope everybody's having well, they're probably sleeping, most people. Yeah, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's good to see everybody. You got in here first, Colin? Cool. Cool. Good to see everybody. Vanessa, B, what's up? The Major, good to see you. She was Disciple, hey, good job. Man, you guys are in here. I didn't expect even to have 10 people right now, to be honest with you. It's definitely in a morning time. Yeah, good morning, guys. Hope everybody's doing all right though. I really do. Hey, Diane. There you go. Cool. Good morning, Alabama. All right. Sweet. But yeah, guys, we got some stuff going on. That's the only reason why I'm popping on here real quick. Give you a little bit of an update on what's happening. Again, I don't expect a whole lot of people here, but I haven't actually been to bed today yet. So I'm going to just do this, and it's probably going to be a quick one. And then I'm going to be just get down to the point here. So we had an M-class flare, and like I said, guys, this happens to me a lot. I'll be getting ready to. Hey, good morning from Spain. That's awesome. Good to see you. Glad you're here. What does it say? Chesn. I don't want to butcher that name. Sorry. But anyway, guys, yes, we did have an M-1 flare. I do think that this thing was probably just a little bit more powerful than that, and I'll explain why here in a minute. The main reason is because it's from a sunspot that's actually getting ready to crest the limb of the sun away from us. It's basically, it fired it to the side for the most part. But as we know with X-ray, it goes out in all directions. It's light, basically. It's X-ray, but it's part of the spectrum, right? So it travels at the speed of light. It's here really quick, but because of we don't have the detectors, obviously, to get a really good measurement of what that actually is, like right in front of it. If this had happened, I don't know, 3 or 4 days before, when this sunspot was facing Earth, this might be a little bit stronger. Not to mention that our X-ray, our baseline right now is actually fairly low for a ramping up sun. Now, we do expect this to, again, it's pretty normal, I guess. I mean, but we do expect that baseline to kind of go up and kind of stay there, but it will always fluctuate. You're always going to have some days where it's lower, and that's probably where we're at. But, we got the M-class flare, but what I want to point out here, guys, geomagnetic storm. These have absolutely nothing to do with this flare. Okay? Any energy after the X-ray and maybe some radiation. Sometimes we get radiation storms like 20 minutes later after a flare will fire. This flare has not caused any of this geomagnetic activity. Okay? So just remember that. They're two different things. A flare and a CME, totally different. Now, they weren't expecting this one. This one hit everybody by surprise. That's why it says Interplanetary Shockwave in my title there. Because that's pretty much what it was. Either that or it was a stealth CME. It could have been maybe a mistimed CME, maybe a misdirected, something they just didn't get quite right. Okay? Or it could have been something different. Who knows? Sometimes we do get stealth CMEs. Just want to make sure I'm still popping and moving here. Okay, so yeah, I mean, we've talked about stealth CMEs before, and they're hard to detect. They're called stealth for a reason. That's why. They miss it sometimes. And we've had coronal holes, maybe even a small coronal hole stream. From a small coronal hole that none of the tools or anything really picked up getting any kind of increased weather from that. It happens all the time. There's been a lot of studies and stuff done on stealth CMEs, and it's just a hard thing to, the more and more we understand the sun, the less of that you're going to see. because, you know, at the end of the day, a stealth CME is going to be named something different, because if you see it, it's no longer stealthy. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm saying. But anyway, just remember that this M1 flare had nothing to do with these geomagnetic storms down here. Absolutely nothing. Not to mention that it was actually hours before the geomagnetic storm hit here, and then, you know, 6-8 hours later you get the flare. Yeah. But I did see something interesting, and we'll get into that in just a second. But we did see, well, I'm not sure if we've actually had like small radio blackouts. I'm assuming that there was at least a little bit of something getting picked up on the, you know, on the bands. It could be, again, it could be just something as simple as a little crackle or whatever. But we'll go down here and we'll look at the absorption chart, and that's where it hit. Okay. That's the part of the earth that was directly facing the sun when that hit. Okay, when it fired off. Because it gets here in 8 minutes. The X-rays do. Gets here at the speed of light. Right? So that's what's happening. Hey, Bernard. But yeah. But as you can see here, guys, I mean, it, you know, this is, in some of these areas, it is kind of populated. But really, it's out over the water. The main, like, if you wanted to find a center point or ground zero type of thing. So, yeah. But it did spike up there pretty good. It's a decent-sized flare. So let me show it to you. That way you guys can, I probably should have done this at the beginning. I'm sorry. I've been trying to, when I do my videos and stuff, just to try to show what, you know, what the thumbnail says pretty close to the beginning. So, anyway, it's from this sunspot right here. Okay, let me move that over a little bit more. I'm not quite sure if you guys can see that really well right there. So, anyway, right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the scroll bar, and I'm going to point a couple things out as this thing moves, okay? First off, you're going to see an eclipse, okay? SDO, this is SDO, and it's out in front of the Earth looking at the sun, right? Well, there's an eclipse season where basically the Earth gets in between the satellite and the sun. So it causes an eclipse. The satellite can't see the sun for a very short amount of time, but you're going to see that here in just a second. See where the screen went black? Okay, so now we're going forward here, and there's the first part of the eclipse, and it doesn't last very long, 6-8 captures here, I think. Yeah, there we go. But if you notice, this is kind of hard to pick up. Okay, so there's the last frame of the eclipse part. I go forward, and everything looks normal, right? But watch down here. As I go into the next frame forward, you're going to see that this is a little bit shaded darker. See that? See how it's kind of getting a little brighter as I go forward? I'm toggling it back and forth right now. But as I go forward, it goes to its full strength right there. And the reason why is because that's the back end of that eclipse. That's all that is, right? So shortly after the eclipse happened there with the satellite, you get the flare. It's over here, and it's easy to see. Okay, here we go. All right, now, so we get that. Now, I want to point this out, too. Guys, that's ejecta. That's plasma flying off the sun. Okay? Now, remember, this is going this direction, the majority of this. Okay, the CME part of it it looks like there was a CME with it, but the majority of that's going to be going off to our right. It's, you know, we're not if we get hit with that CME part of it, it's not going to be a direct hit at all. It'll be just a glancing blow of some sort, if it even does that. But the flare is able to get to us because it goes out in all directions. Obviously, plasma can be concentrated into like a ball or whatever if it wants to be. So what I'm saying here is that's the beginning of it right there. So if I back that up again, you get that, right? That's the beginning of the flare. You can definitely see that starting to eject off. Okay, and then it even shoots off even further right here. So this definitely did leave the sun, this part of it. Now here is like the strongest part of the flare, the X-rays. Now remember, just because it takes the shape of an X right there, this is not an X flare. Okay, it's an M flare. And I used to get it confused too. So don't feel bad if that's what you thought, because it's a very legitimate thought. I mean, you hear somebody say X, what do you guys think? I mean, you think you're going to go look at this tool and it's going to show you an X, right? That's an X flare. That would be what you would think unless you're told different, right? So I'll move my cursor there a little bit. So as we go forward here, boom, right? So that's the flare. Now, we've seen these a lot. I mean, we're going to see these more and more. But I do think if that was over here, we would be talking about a stronger flare right now. That's not all the way off the side, though. So, I mean, we did get quite a bit of X-ray from that. All right? Our detectors picked it up as an M-1, right? So, I mean, it's not like it's a nothing burger or anything like that. Because it did impact. It already did. When I show you guys a flare, I'm showing you something from the past. This isn't something that is coming our way or anything. The X-ray part's already hit and gone. So just, kind of realize that. Now, I'm going to back this off. I'm going to show you a couple different angstroms. Now, this yellow one's not going to show the flare all that well, but it does show a disruption in the corona pretty good here. And that will lead us to, come to the decision that there was CME with this. Okay? That's kind of what this will do. So watch right there. There's the eclipse, and then see how it all got disrupted, and then boom. Okay. Now, I noticed something else, and I don't think it really has much to do with anything, but I've never seen it do it this quick. And what I mean by that is the flare fired off, and then I seen the satellite jerk. Okay, just like one capture. It jerked over, and it got back to center. That's almost an instantaneous reaction. So in my mind, and I could be completely wrong with this, right? The sun's connected to everything magnetically via an interplanetary magnetic field line. That's how, when we talk about those shock waves, we're talking about a magnetic shock wave. So that's what it is. Now, as we're looking at this, it really does just look like, just let me show it to you. Okay, so there's the eclipse. All right, now here's the flare. You see the sun moving just a little bit? Now the sun didn't move there, okay? That's the satellite moving, okay? It's not, the sun doesn't move like that. So it kind of just jerked over a little bit and went right back. Now, again, like I said, and it happened right as that flare hit. So I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it. And it's not a big deal even if it did. It's just neat to see something that instantaneous, if that's actually what happened. And I'm not saying it can't, because the sun's connected to satellite just like it is connected to the earth. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so as we get moving here, again, I don't want to, I don't want to play that up to make it more than what it is. I try my best not to do those kinds of things. So just understand that just because that satellite moved like that, I could be completely wrong on what I just said. So that's just something I noticed, and I thought it was interesting, so I showed it to you. And I do. They're doing some studies now on how almost instantaneous the sun, when it has stuff happen, could instantaneously affect things throughout the solar system because we're connected magnetically, right? And that stuff is just like instantaneous, man. So it'd be hard for me to just throw that out in the garbage. It has to be, there has to be something there. Now, I'm not saying that's actually what caused that satellite to move. I'm just saying it's what it looked like. And so I don't know. But I did want to show it to you because, like I said, I do think it was really, really interesting if that's what happened. But anyway, the 211 angstrom here, you'll see this is where we're going to see this flare fire off, and you'll see it. You'll see the wave go across the sun. Okay, the 211 really shows this really good. So actually, I'm just going to push play. Okay, see how it kind of backed that way after it exploded. Now it wasn't extreme. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. I think that maybe, and I don't know for sure yet, but if the CME part of it definitely is going to go to our right if there is a CME component of it, and it looks to be from the 131 that there is. But it looks to be kind of concentrated. So, well, it doesn't look to be like a fanned out one just from looking at this. Now, it could end up being a fanned out one. I don't know. This is very early on. And like I said, I wouldn't even have done this live stream right now, but I'm getting ready to go to bed. So yeah. Hey, third line. Hey, Daniel, what's up? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Once we see so many things, man, it just, you almost just chuckle, My blue wrenches know what I'm talking about there. I just chuckle at that stuff anymore. Sorry, I don't mean to be like that. It just, if I don't laugh, I get mad, and it's like, whatever. Oh, goodness. Anyway, so this did cause some uptick in Aurora that geomagnetic storm did from the interplanetary shockwave, right? There's the Aurora increase. Didn't last long. Those shockwaves are very short-lived, okay? But they can put us into geomagnetic storm levels, and that's exactly what happened. And so let me show you over here at spaceweather.com. I'll show you the geoelectric one here too. This is space weather's effect on our electrical grid. That's what this is trying to represent. But it didn't move a whole lot. So this right here should let you guys understand that X-ray does not cause geomagnetic storm. Because if a geomagnetic storm was to hit, this thing would react. Okay, and we see a little bit uptick, but that's when that shockwave hit. Okay, so if we take it all the way over here to the end, you don't see nothing, do you? I mean, that's when the flare hit. So this should help people understand that this is not showing you what we typically look at when we're like looking at the Aurora stuff, right? This is simply just showing you what they think a disruption could be, or the chances of, on artificial electrical components from space weather. If you guys get down here, you guys can read this right here. It'll tell you exactly what it's showing you. So if you guys ever go to these tools, and I hope that you do, don't take my word for nothing. Go look at this stuff, okay? Copy, paste, links, whatever you got to do. Or just go to NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center. You can get the 90% of the stuff that I show you. But there's other ones out there too that you can go look at, and I encourage you to look at whatever you can. Again, anybody else that watches Marfugal will understand what I'm getting ready to say here. Take everything with a grain of salt, and what that means is don't ignore what I'm saying or think that I'm just being crazy or whatever, but check on it. Go look for yourself. That's the point, right? And I hope that people get that, because if they don't, they're doing themselves a disservice, because the more you look at it yourself, the more you're going to understand it. And, I didn't understand hardly any of this stuff when I first started. And if you looked at some of my first videos, I even pulled down a couple of them because I was so embarrassed. Not even kidding. I mean, some of them were just so way wrong. I didn't want somebody else to just see that video on its own and be thinking that's what the truth was. So, yeah, I love Marfugal too, guys. I mean, and let me tell you this, guys, with the current situation going around the world right now, I'm not going to go into that right now. We're talking about the drums of conflict are getting beat on, right? All over our planet right now. I would encourage you guys to check Marfugal TV and Marfugal News and their website daily. I do. I check it multiple times. Because much like I said a minute ago, take everything with a grain of salt. If you go to their website, where they get their information, their source, they put it there. You can go look at the source. You ain't even got to listen to what he has to say. He'll give you the source, so you can go listen or look at it yourself. So that earns so much respect, in my opinion, and it lends a lot of validity to what people say, because they're telling you straight up, just like I always have here. You know? Yeah, remain calm, remain peaceful, 100%, Daniel. Exactly, and that's the whole point, because if we're able to look, and we're aware, we're not going to be scared as much when things do happen. And that's the point. We don't live in fear. Nobody should. If any of this stuff that I ever talk about here scares you, you need to go look at something different. And I'm being just as upfront and blunt about it as I should be. Because if you're scared, you really don't need to be in that mindset. And that's, if it takes you never looking at my channel again, that's what you do. And I'm dead serious about that. And I hope everybody does that. It's unfortunate that other people don't. Other channels. They just want you to hear what they have to say, and they want you to just take them for their word, or they'll just want you to trust them. And if you got a different opinion, then they won't even, becomes an echo chamber. Anyway, I'm just going to keep moving. I'm sorry. I got on a little rant there. So this is Seeds. This is from Lasco C2. Again, it's not in the same position as SDO, but it is out there looking. Hey, Tina, what's up? But yeah, this is yesterday, okay, on the 11th. There was a sizable eruption, but it went off the backside of the sun, okay? That's why you didn't hear nothing about it, because it's not coming our direction. So if I take you down here to Stereo A, the side view, and show it to you, you'll definitely see where it went off the side. Okay, you see how it's going off the backside here? Now, if we go to the previous day, that erupted there too. So if we go here, at least I think it did. Maybe it didn't. I don't think we had much going on the 10th. But the 11th, we most certainly did. You can see it. So if that would have been coming right at us, it would have been a halo. That was a sizable eruption. And, people say maybe we dodged a bullet, this, that, and the other. We need some of that activity, guys. Okay, it helps keep us all, keeps our magnetic field strong. We got to have some of it. We don't want that kill shot, obviously, and that's why we talk about what we talk about, but this is nothing to be scared about. If there's ever a time that I think people should really be like scared, not really scared, just like taking action, right? I'm probably not going to be able to come on here and tell you, because that's how fast it will be. So that's why we talk about it prior to. So you can make that decision the correct way when the stuff does happen. So this is spaceweather.com, guys. Go give them some love. That's Aurora right there from that interplanetary magnetic shockwave. The one that gave us the G1 storm here. Okay. And the BZ got tilted down into the negatives. You can see it here on the A. So I'm not going to take you to Discover right now. You can see enough here. The temperature rose. The speed rose. The density dropped because the speed went up. Okay, that happens a lot. The BZ, -6, is what we look for, and that's the red line here. So when it dips down into that, a lot of times we'll take geomagnetic hits. Okay, now here are the sunspots, the groupings here. This is the one that blew, and it's rotating off as we speak. So if this flare had happened 12 to 20 hours from now, we might not have seen a whole lot from it. But they're saying that small radio blackouts is what this R1 is, G1. But I want to point something else out here too, guys. They're forecasting on the 14th another geomagnetic storm. That's from a coronal hole. Okay? So here in a couple days, about this same time, they're forecasting a G1 storm from a coronal hole. And I already showed you guys a coronal hole, but I'll show it to you again. It's this one. Okay, it was over here yesterday, right? It was over here the day before. So the longer it stays in front of us, the longer we're connected to it, the more weather we're going to get from it. But, if you go over to spaceweather.com, I haven't read a whole lot of the article yet. I did see that they said it was, an interplanetary shockwave. And I do agree with that. Whether it was from a stealth CME or whether it was from whatever, nobody expected this. Okay. Hey, Hilly, good to see you, man. God bless, brother, for real. I ain't seeing you in a minute. Third in line, what's up? Yep, I agree with you, Daniel. Yeah, I don't know much about that part, dimensional stuff, Daniel. I haven't really even looked into, I've looked into some of it. Most of us have. I just don't understand it very well. So yeah, I encourage everybody to look at everything, guys. When we talk about dimensions, a lot of times we're talking about time and all this other stuff. There's so much around that, and it's a hard subject to really get a good grasp on. So anybody that you think could be like giving you good information on that, definitely listen to what they're saying just so you get a better understanding. Because that's something I couldn't, even talk about. I don't have that knowledge. But near Earth objects, guys, there is quite a few of them right now, but none of them are big, and they're not really coming that close. And something else, guys, I get that. Hey, Ricky, I get the fact that these satellites came out of the air. They came out of orbit and blew up, right? Or they're going to be blowing up. I just want to say that you gotta understand that there's so many of those satellites now that we would be crazy to think that something like that ain't never going to happen, right? 40 of the 49 just off of that one launch was. It got up there, they let it out, and they tried to keep it in orbit, but they couldn't, right? Because there was too much drag, and there's a whole lot of science behind all that. Because once they get it up there in a low Earth orbit, they actually will move it up higher, I think, to get away from that sweet spot where a geomagnetic storm really has a chance to affect them. They just didn't have that time yet. And they had launched in similar conditions before. So I don't think that they thought that was going to be an issue. So just understand that. There's a lot of stuff there that can be talked about. And, that's as far as my knowledge goes with that anyway. So I couldn't really speak much more about that. I just wanted to clarify that because there is a lot of stuff that you're going to hear about that. And I'm not saying anything's true or not. Anything in my mind is possible, especially when you got the drums of conflict beating around you. You know what I mean? It just doesn't, you really just can't fall onto one thing. So you can look at the information yourself. Never believe anything until you go look at it. And that's what I tell you about my stuff too. Don't believe what I'm saying. Go look at where I showed you this and then make up your own mind what you believe. Because I'm not going to tell you how to believe. I can give you my opinion. And I do that, when I'm talking about like CMEs and stuff. I feel comfortable enough, and, if you go back and look at my previous videos, you'll find that I do have a pretty decent track record, but I've also gotten things wrong. And I tell you when I do. So I hope you guys appreciate that, and I know most of you do. But I don't have a whole lot more here, guys. Not tonight. I just don't. Just don't. Who's trolling? Who's trolling? Scan family. What's up, Anna? Good to see you. Dex, my brother. You're right, Daniel, about that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, full use of your brain. The ego is just a pin-sized region in the, hypothalamus gland. I know a little bit about the hypothalamus gland because that's actually, they were doing stuff like that, right? What's up? 27, good to see you. So yeah, guys, hey Indigo. I just want you guys to understand that you really should go look at the stuff for yourself And I can't say that enough. Because that is just one of those things that, man, you would get a so much better understanding when you put your own eyes onto the page yourself. And that's when I started to understand it a little bit more. So don't think you're not smart enough to understand things either, guys. You are. Please, please, please understand that. Ready for another round, huh? Heck yeah. So yeah, guys, I am going to go ahead and get off here. I don't want this one going all that long, and it's probably went a little bit too long already. Yeah, 30 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and cut it here, guys. I do appreciate you guys stopping in this early, but I did want to show you, this M-1 flare. Again, we got to wait to see how big the CME is that's with it, if it fans out enough to really give us an issue. But what I do want to point out is that these geomagnetic storms, we've had one almost every day for a few days now. And a lot of them, or two of them, I believe, were not expected. Okay? The one we caught with the wake of that CME, and then now this one. So just understand that it's hard to get, forecasting of the sun. It's hard. It really is. But, the biggest thing I would say is remember that we're all connected to that sun magnetically. Even the satellites. So we will see stuff move. And that's, we expect that, right? I mean, that's what we would expect. And, we've been up into G3 level storms this year, like once, maybe twice. And as we get further along into the sun cycle, we're going to see that. You're seeing it now. You're starting to see more geomagnetic storms than what we ever did 2 years ago. And it's just a simple thing of where we're at in the sun cycle. Okay? It really is. That's what that is. And if I take, and again, I know I said we was going to get off here, but this is a good way to show you, 2 years ago, if I showed you, well, we can do this. Check this out. You see this sun right here? That's today, right? Let's go ahead and take it off the movie tool. And what I'll do is I'll go back 2 years right here. We'll go back to 2020. We actually were in a kind of an uptick then a little bit. Not much of one. We were pretty quiet, right? So watch what happens to this sun right here. It must be eclipse season then too. My God. You see that? That's ridiculous. Okay, we'll go back 3 years. How about that? Let's just do that. That's ridiculous, man. I can't even believe that happened. Wow. So we'll go back 3 years. Hey, look, see? Now look, let me tell you something. You know what's happening right here? We have the same eclipse season, the same time every year with SDO. I just showed you 3 different years, and what are you seeing? Eclipse. It's predictable. So when people tell you that something funky's going on here, just really be guarded on that, okay? So what we'll do is we'll go back to, let's just bring it back to the most recent. That's the most recent. We'll change the day a little bit. So we'll go back let's just go back to 2019. And we'll change the day to, well, let's just go to like the 22nd. How about that? It's roughly, 3 years ago. So watch. See that? You see the difference? That's what I'm talking about. Most people don't realize that. But that's normal, guys. That's when we were in solar minimum. Not no grand solar minimum, just solar minimum. It's a natural cycle. So that was 3 years ago, and we'll bring it back to current. Watch it. There you go. That's the difference. Okay, hey Kenley. So please understand that. When the sun, this is a natural thing for the sun. And it's going to continue to get more. Right in here, you'll see that we'll see sunspots all along through here from here on out. North and south. And if you want to know about the sun cycle itself, come back over here to NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center. Right here. sunspot number progression. And I talked about this in my last video. And this, all of our data points that they were looking at, the red lines, the predicted values, we've been above it every month. We've never been below it this sun cycle. So it does look like we're overachieving. But if you compare it to, because somebody over at spaceweather.com did this, they overlaid it to the last sun cycle, and it matched up pretty good. And so just because we're active right now, we could really slow down. We could, or stay at the same level instead of ramping further up. So just because we're more active now does not guarantee that we're going to have a really, really active sun cycle. It does lend to a little more of it, but, that is what it is. I mean, the chances of us having a more active sun cycle are greater now, I think, my opinion. But that's what's happening. So, all right, guys, I am going to bounce out. Sorry, I kind of got off on a side thing there again, too. But, again, I didn't get off subject. I was talking about space weather. Give me some credit for that. All right, guys, thanks for stopping in, everybody. I really do appreciate you, and I'll try to give you guys updates. So, hope you guys liked the video or whatever. Listen, guys, please go check out all the channels I talk about all the time. Renaissance Man, the lifeboat. I'm involved with the lifeboat very heavily. I run the tech stuff in the background, and I get on camera sometimes. It's an addiction channel, addiction recovery. So please go over and check it out. Hey, George. So, if anybody that's struggling with that kind of stuff, you can really get some, it's a good channel to go over and check us out because we're all loving people over there. We don't judge, and we try to help. So, and then obviously check out Mark Pires. Check out Hilly. He is, you got a live stream to do today, right, Hilly? He does Bible study on Saturday, guys. Check him out. So, yeah. And anybody, Rip Curl, Marfugel, especially Marfugel right now, guys. Any kind of news station you really want to be looking at a little bit, at least some, just to stay aware. So, because things they do look like they're ramping up, rather quickly. Now, again, it doesn't mean that the really bad stuff's going to happen. I don't want anybody to think that, because I honestly don't think that. I mean, there's always that chance, but what I'm saying is just be like Rip Curl says. Always be aware of your surroundings. Okay? And I'm dead serious about that. Just make sure you're cool. Don't be scared. Just be aware, right? So, anyway, guys, God bless. Yahushua saves, and